Hola, 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 my gente. How are you? God, it's kind of quiet. I'm over here. I've got my Angels and Ancestors deck out today. Just in case somebody doesn't know who I am, my name is Maris. I am an intuitive I'm an intuitive healer. I do a medical medium, I guess, is what you would call them. I'm an old ICU nurse. Worked a little bit in psych and cardiac and all sorts of cool stuff, and did a stint teaching for a while. Let's just smudge everybody. We all need to be smudged. And so then after I retired from all of that kind of cool stuff, I just kind of went into full-time practice here in my studio, doing all sorts of kind of groovy things, from readings to Reiki to a little aromatherapy work, a lot of spiritual work. But I am here today, and we're going to do a reading, and I already kicked out one card. Again, I'm using the Angels and Ancestor deck. I really like this deck. It's a groovy deck. It's a really fun deck to use. Oh yeah, I'm getting my telephone. I have been sitting here doing other things, and my phone has not rang one time in over an hour, and it is like ringing off the wall. So if you get a little beep beep in through there, it's that ding dang phone. Okay. Alright, so today is Thursday. It is, March 25th. Hope everybody's doing pretty awesome. Wrapping up that, I call it spring break month. It seems like it lasts a whole month. Okay, alright, there's another one. Let's just see if anything else comes flying out. Okay, we got a lot of classes coming up. Actually, we've got a whole bunch of cards. So I'm going to bend down and pick them up because they went flying all over. So while I'm bending down and picking these up, make sure you get something to drink, eat, toke, smoke, whatever you do. Be right back. Okay, alright, so we've got 4 cards in our reading today. Wow, okay. I just did a quickie one over on, actually it was on TikTok. You gotta do that shish in 60 seconds or less. And I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do that. Because, I talk a lot. But anyway, so let's take a look and see what today's reading looks like. It's interesting where we're starting from. Let's flip over there real quick. Okay, and we are starting here with the animal guardian. But what do animals do? Animals work by instinct. Of course, they know things, they see things, they hear things, they smell things, but they work by total instinct. And this is what this card is talking about. It's talking about, okay, things may look one way or smell one way as you appreciate them or experience in them, but if you still have weebie-jeebies going on in your stomach, or your instinct is telling you something different, trust your instinct, okay? I like this card, and it's kind of like Hansel and Gretel, I'm like, okay, they go to this little old lady's house, and they think she's a sweet little old lady, ends up she's a witch that eats them. Okay, so it's that same principle here. This is what we're looking at, is trust your instincts. If you're looking at something, if you're experiencing something, if you think something is different than what it's being presented, trust your instincts. Often we don't like to do that because we feel guilty. We feel like we're being really harsh or judgmental. It's not being harsh or judgmental, it's being real. And learn to appreciate your realness in that. It's really important to do that. Especially as intuitives, often we'll get a negative vibe off of something and everybody else is looking at it going, oh, it's so awesome. But we're like, it gives me the creeps. There's a reason it gives you the creeps. Okay, so trust that. Don't discount your, never discount your gift, or your instinct. Okay, and this is interesting because we've got the Peacekeeper here, and the Peacekeeper talks a lot about Not always having to be in the right, always being the one, and I'm going to use the word on top. But I want you to think of this as that be willing to compromise. Sometimes we, in a situation, each party or each side has to be willing to give up something in order to gain something. And that's what this card right here is talking about, is about compromise. Not so much about willing to give up being right, but being willing to compromise for a win-win situation. Okay, all right, so this is the second time that she's come up for me today, but in an earlier reading, she was upside down. So when I look at it in an upside down position, it's talking about not being so weak and vulnerable. And you're like, God, that's kind of rude, Maris. And I'm like, no, not really. Being weak and vulnerable means sometimes we're afraid to stand up for ourselves and to say the things that we need to say and get the point or that message made across, or made to that other party or whoever is the recipient. And in this one, I'm gonna flip it, because what are we talking about in this reading so far? We are talking about compromise, and we are talking about trusting our instincts. Okay, and so we're gonna look at this card again, and let's see what it's really saying in concert, or in conjunction with the other two cards. So what we're looking at here is the love and let yourself be loved. This is about looking past the indiscretions, looking past the things that give us the weebie-jeebies or the creepies, and making those compromises. And it's talking about not being judgmental, not being critical, going with, and I'm going to use the word discernment, deeper discernment, and looking at the reason why behind the jeepies creepies, or the I don't feel good about this. There's something that's playing in there, and this is about not being afraid to look at it from an objective perspective. And I'm going to say, looking at it with some love in your eyes. I'm not saying, hey, we can, say, oh, well, Ted Bundy was a misunderstood man. No, Ted Bundy purposely knew what the hell he was doing. That's a big difference. But sometimes we have to look deeper and understand why people like Ted Bundy, or why negative things happen, or why people have a negative vibe. And not to judge them perhaps up on that vibe, but to love them as a person. I know that sounds like really kind of weird. Sometimes we're like, I don't like feeling that way. Now, this is what I like. At the end of this reading here is we've got the shapeshifter card. And the shapeshifter is about you growing and transforming and allowing your gifts, your talents, and I'm going to say what you reap when you work with your gifts and talents, especially in a spiritual manner, all of the beautiful things that come in your direction and come your way. So this is about you going through some of these trials and tribulations, and I'm looking at, I feel like relationships. There's a lot of relationships, and we've been questioning relationships and thinking that maybe things are all our fault, or maybe we're the bad one, or the tainted one, or the toxic one. And it's not really so much about us that I'm toxic, you're toxic, he's toxic, she's toxic. It's about we're really good people, but together sometimes toxic people, two good people can come together and make a very toxic relationship. That's what I'm getting from this. And that as we realize that, we have an opportunity to either recreate that relationship or work on that relationship and transform it into something beautiful, or to be able to look at each other, give each other a hug, and call it a day. And I'm getting the phrase, no harm, no foul, and move on. Sometimes that's an easy way out, and it's not always the best way, but it can be an easy way. But I'm going to say this when it comes to karma and working on relationships and etc. If you end a relationship on a shitty tone, you're going to either repeat that kind of relationship and that vibration until you learn how to heal through it and bring it up to a higher vibration. So, for what it's worth, lessons learned are always just experiences. They're never meant to be punitive. Peace, love, and harmony. I hope you have a wonderful day.